Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today, I think it's a good story. I hope it's a good story. Had some technical difficulties the last few days on some of the live stream. And we're going to get into it today. I want my ex back, real breakup stories, because most breakup stories end with, I want my ex back. How do I get my ex back, Mac? So why not just title it, I want my ex back, since this is what people want, is headlines, right? Everything's a headline now. But anyhow, I got some stories to unpack, more than one. And one of them was sent in through writemac.com a few days ago. And kind of funny, I actually already posted and read the story, and I was wondering in the live stream, there's only one person present. I don't know if the live stream counts yourself as one person present.
Perhaps.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was doing the live stream, and I'm like, God, there's only been one person for 28 minutes. This is, I've had moments where I've only had like 5, 6 people. Right now there's 4 people on, I guess. They tell you, the viewers. And I was thinking to myself, like, wow, I guess this is an odd time, because it was a different time. Mm-hmm. And I just kept going through, and then realized that it had recorded on a different channel that I had left vacant for a long time. So it was my mistake. But afterwards, I'm just like, oh, who is the one person? And then you think to yourself, oh, it was probably me. They probably count you as a viewer. I would maybe as a viewer, the way it works on YouTube. I'm not sure. So anyhow, if you like this channel, like it. If you don't like it, then don't like it. I'd rather have a don't like than a neutral. Subscribe if you want to subscribe. This week, these coming weeks, on the Discord, I will let you know when we have some new shows, some new data. Sabina, what's up? It's been a while, hon. Thanks for being so active in the Discord and helping people out and pointing them in the right direction. I appreciate you. Isn't that a nice thing to say? I get that sometimes from people in emails. When I do breakup coaching, or I do a follow-up after I do a live coaching session with an email. It's a nice thing to say, just to say, hey, I appreciate you. I guess it's a little less formal than I love you. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like if someone says I appreciate you, it's got to be probably just one under I love you, I guess. Mm-hmm. What is I appreciate you in Thai?
It's mean like ผมชอบนะ but
Pom chop would mean I like.
yeah, it's mean I like, but the level of I say I like is depends on how that you're gonna explain that how you like her.
But appreciate can be man or woman.
It could be all.
Okay.
Yes.
So you just say Pom chop means I like.
Yeah, ผมชอบคุณนะ but it has like so many different meaning. It depends on this situation about you guys like together, how you.
Oh, the
together.
relationship you have already.
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. Anyhow, whenever someone says that to me and I say that to someone else, I think it's a nice thing to say beyond saying, oh, thank you. Is it? I think it's also funny when someone just says thanks compared to thank you. It's a small thing, but thank you to me is a step up than thanks.
More formal, right?
More formal, but just, I don't know. There's something kinder about saying thank you more than
Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks is it's just quick. It's kind of like, yeah, okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. See, it just doesn't roll the same way, right? So, and right when I said that, Sabina wrote thank you.
So the word is counting, as same as the level of Thai when we saying.
Appreciate would definitely be above thank you. It's something much more deeper. Like I said, appreciate's almost between thank you and love. What's up, Rob? Got in here early. It's been a while. I apologize. I know I said I was going to be on every day. I've been reworking some things behind the scenes. I'm going to make some adjustments here. I'm gonna make some more quality videos. Adjustments need to be made. Probably have shorter live streams. Snowing, huh? 7 on deck. I'd like to get to 10 on deck and then start the stories, so at least we have some kind of a deep audience. So if we get to 10 on deck, which I know it takes a minute sometimes, I'm gonna break this story. I think it's a pretty good story, and then the couple stories after that I have to add are good. And this is where we're gonna head with things in the future. I'm gonna keep things story based and a little bit shorter. Leandra, Australia's finest. Australia's finest.
So have you tell a guy in the Discord that you live stream?
No, today I didn't. Today I did not, actually. You know what? I can do it on my phone. Let me do it really quick. Live on YouTube right now. Stories Unpacked. There we go. So we got 9 on deck. That's enough. I mean, one will jump in here pretty soon. I know that. 10. Dun 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 dun. 10 on deck. All right. So if you got a story you want to share, send it into writemac.com or the Discord. I would prefer writemac.com. You got to cut the line. You're guaranteed to get my take, and it will be objective, non-biased, and unique. Because your friends, family, and colleagues' take on your breakup stories, a lot of times they're taking into account your feelings. A lot of times they're just telling you what they think you should know. What's up, The Truth of Love? We still got to meet up, man. It's been a while. I hope Chile is treating you well. Got to go to bed soon to be 9. Yeah, isn't it crazy being in different time zones? The world's changed so much, huh?
So what time in America right now?
That's a good question. So it depends. Aleph,
Depend on the stage.
Yeah, it depends on the time zone. So you got East, West, you got Midwest, you even got Southwest. Like Arizona has a different time zone. I had a client in Arizona recently, and they have a different time zone than California, which is, you wouldn't know. I guess it's kind of like Singapore to Phuket. It's a 1 hour difference, and it's not that far. Anyhow, the difference is 3 hours from East to West Coast. I think Rob, who's Canadian, but would be East Coast time, I believe the time over there is 12:30 a.m.
AM?
Yeah, it's basically the opposite. So I believe the Midwest is if it's 11:30 a.m., which it is right now, 11:35 a.m., it'd be 11:35 p.m. So when I go home to visit, and I stay home for a month to hang out with the family, hang out with the parents, and I come back, I'm wrecked for a week, because someone will go, "Oh, it's jet lag." No, the time is the opposite. Do you know? So I'll be hanging out, and it'll be 5 p.m. and I'll be barely able to stay awake for dinner the first couple days, and I'll be like, because that's when I would have been asleep. That's like 4 a.m. You know what I'm saying? So you don't. There's no way to get that.
Time zone is different.
There's no way to fix that when you're staying there. It's one thing when someone goes, "Oh, I got jet lag," and they did like a 6-hour plane ride. It's totally different when you got a different time zone like that and you're there for that long.
Right.
It's 1:30 here. I'm at 9 viewers. I bet it seemed to be 9. Okay. So anyhow, let's get into the story here. My girlfriend's 25 and I'm 28. Dated for 2.5 years before she broke up with me in early November 2020. So right there, he gave the facts, how long they've been together, their age. This really helps just put things in perspective immediately. Thank you for reading the directions on the website. We are also childhood friends and have known each other since she was 5 and I was 8. That's pretty interesting. Jordan Peterson, if you know who that is, claims that him and his wife that have been married for eons, his high school sweetheart, he said they knew each other since they were little kids and lived across the street from each other. That's amazing. I don't even think I have friends that I'm still in contact with that were friends when I was 5 to 10 years old. I mean, I've ran into people that I went to kindergarten with and stuff like that, but so that's pretty amazing. We began to orbit each other in 2010, but because of just how different our lives were at the time, things didn't work out between us romantically for the first time until 2017. So 7 years after they romantically orbited each other. Basically, I call it timing and circumstances, and that's a big part of hooking up, getting together. Where you're at when you meet someone in your life will correlate with if you can actually become boyfriend and girlfriend, husband and wife, partner and partner, right? Sometimes the timing is, I'm only here for 3 months and then I got to leave, this, that, and the other. It fell apart within a few months, though, because she had just gotten out of her first long-term relationship and wasn't ready for anything serious yet. Well, we have another case of timing and circumstance. It hurt, but I understood the situation. Well, that's brilliant the way you worded that. It hurt, but I understood the situation. Seek to understand, not to be understood. So you didn't turn it over and go, I can't believe you did this to me. I can't believe you weren't over the situation. Why can't you? You said, wait a minute. I understand you're not ready. It sucks, but you're not ready. I took a step back and we remained friends and even went on a few dates over the course of the next year and officially became a couple in the fall of 2018. Now, this is one of those situations where he didn't take it as a slap in the face that she wasn't ready. He didn't take it in a negative way. He didn't blame her. He didn't complain too much. He just understood the situation, and then he took a step back, remained friends because they had been friends for years, right? And I don't know if this was, and they had what he calls orbiting. I don't know if that's, mutual physical attraction or not. I don't know what his definition of orbiting would be, but he took a step back. We remained friends and even went on a few dates. So I'm just curious if she knew those were dates or if those were friend dates. Over the course of the next year, and officially became a couple in the fall of 2018 because the stars had lined up. Those aren't his words. Those are my words. Sometimes everything was just right. It just works that way. We never really fought as a couple despite having our differences. Whenever I read this, I always go, fighting's not a bad thing if you can come to resolutions. Fighting's a bad thing when people fight dirty. Fighting's an okay thing when people go, hey, I got a problem with you right now. I want to talk about it. I want to blow some steam off. I want to come to a solution. Not fighting because you don't want to get in a fight and you want to just keep things, peaches and cream, rose petals and wine glasses. Well, the kettle's going to boil over at some point. She's a very emotional person. I'm much more stoic and logical, so I was always able to calmly explain my thinking before it blew up into an argument. I love the word stoic. You know what stoic is? Aleph, and all your wisdom? No, stoic's not tough. If you look up stoic in the dictionary, it's to show no pain and no pleasure. So I would say that it's almost like a neutral emotion.
How to spell that?
Stoic. And stoicism is the great Marcus Aurelius. And I won't go into all those details, but basically stoicism is to show no pleasure. And did you look it up now?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did it say?
It's translating.
Oh, in Thai?
Yeah.
Anyhow, so he's a stoic, she's emotional, so he's going to be able to even her out a bit. But the bottom line is If you have someone that's your partner that's a woman that's very emotional and you're not, even if you're the calm one, it will get old quick because they're going to be high and low to things that you're really chill about. And at some point, you're going to be like, damn, is this how we always have to deal with things? So it's not necessarily that you as a stoic person or a reasonable, logical person, translation man, aren't a good match for someone that's emotional like that, but is she a good match for you is the question. Very emotional compared to just emotional is different. Mm-hmm. Women overall are more likely to be emotional about things. I don't think that's a generalization. I just think that's true. Very emotional is just a little added sauce on top that you don't need to deal with. We also never lived together even though we were talking about marriage and our future together because her parents are very religious and we knew they couldn't approve until we were at least engaged. All right, this is the part where I'm like, why are you guys talking? You're 25, she's 25, you're 28. You've had these timing and circumstances, difficulties. I don't even think marriage should be on the table at this point. I think that you should continue having fun. You should continue having dates. You should continue seeing each other. I would strongly recommend if someone's going to live together, that would be a prerequisite to marriage because living with your partner is a different ball game. I can't stress that enough. And I'll tell you what, living together for 1 year is a lot different than living together for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. It's a different ball game. And I'd ask you at 28, have you ever lived with a partner before? That's another question. I wasn't happy about it, but I respected that and decided to ultimately let it go because everything else was going so well. So you've done this more than once. When you broke up, you weren't happy about it either, but you understood. You weren't happy about this either, but you understood. So what happens when you do this, even though you're understanding, you're not getting everything out. And so over time, you can breed some content here. Everything was wonderful initially. We'd see each other every weekend because she lived and worked in LA at the time while I was living with my family in Orange County. It wasn't easy not seeing each other all week, but we enjoyed having the whole weekend together. People tell me, see, this is not long distance. If you have the weekend together, that's actually ideal. It really is. If you can see your girlfriend or your boyfriend 3 times a week and have your own place, I'll tell you what, I know a lot. That's a nice relationship a lot of times, especially if you, as long as in that time that the other person's secure and you're trustworthy, you give each other the benefit of the doubt because then you miss each other just enough. The time you spend together should be really good. So being able to see each other weekends is not a bad thing. It's definitely not long distance in the sense that, you know, and you're in the same time zone and everything like that. It's not a bad situation to be in. Fast forward to when the pandemic starts. Dun, dun, dun. She moves back home, and we didn't see each other for the first couple of months out of concern for our relatives, but we still talked and texted as normal. Mood didn't drop at all. That's outstanding. You did what you had to do. You dealt with the circumstances. It is what it was, or it is what it is. We got a little more comfortable and started hanging out in person a few times a week. Things felt like they were going really well, but our intimacy and dating lives tanked because we were both still living with family and everything was closed early on. The feelings were still there. This is the issue when you're in your mid to late 20s and you still live with your parents. Number one, I'm not knocking you because California, LA, Orange County, very expensive to live in. I'm from the Bay Area. It's appalling what it costs to live in that area. Right? I get it. Unfortunately, it will affect your intimacy life with your partner. When you got to go back and say, oh, hey, Dad, hey, Mom. Oh, me and my girlfriend are going in the back and pound one out. It's like it doesn't, you know, the father of the daughter is not going to, it's not going to be cool. And guys have told me before, I'm really cool with the parents, but she told me like she doesn't want to do it at her house. Yeah. It's like, do your best to get yourself a studio apartment in the best location. Like when you're alone and you live in an expensive area, just look for a studio or try to get roommates that are your age. That's the alternative to living at home with your parents. What happens too is when you live with your parents It should be temporary. A lot of people get really comfortable because they don't pay any rent. My dad was really smart. When I turned 19, I was still living at home. My dad was like, I want rent. Brilliant move. Changed the whole ball game. I was like, if I'm going to pay, I was like, all right, Dad, no problem. I never questioned my dad. I was like, all right. I was paying $275 for my room. This is 20 years ago, right? And I was, making, I don't know, $2,000 or $3,000 a month. I don't know what. No, I wasn't making that much because I was still part-time and in college. Anyhow, $275 a month. Made the first. I wrote the check. Then I wrote the next check. And then my dad was being an asshole because you know why? He wanted me to get my own fucking place. You know why? Because he didn't want me to get too comfortable. It's smart. Some families are like, oh, hey, son, you can stay here forever. Guess what, dude? It's going to affect your intimacy big time. Well, I've had clients before that have said that they've had problems in their relationship, and they're talking about how they both live with their parents. And these are people with jobs, like good jobs. And this one dude, he lived at home. He had $50,000 in the bank. And he's talking about all these vacations. He's like, I'm really cool with my parents, though, man. And I'm like, you're 26, you got $50,000 in the bank? And I go, and you live with your parents? Well, yeah, me and her were talking about getting our own place. But, I mean, me and my parents are cool. And I'm like, grow up. Like, if you think that doesn't affect your relationship as an adult with a woman, that you got to bring her past your parents in her 20s to go do the deed, unbelievable. Things felt like they were going really well, but the intimacy and dating lives tanked because we were both still living with a family and everything was closed early on. The feelings were still there, but I could tell even though we couldn't do everything we normally were able to. Around this time, she started to become obsessed with a K-pop band to the point where she would constantly inundate me with content related to them. So this is a huge red flag for me, and this is kind of funny because Aleph being Thai, and we both live in Thailand. K-pop's huge in Thailand. And anyone doesn't know that, it's Korean pop music. Okay, think New Kids on the Block, but Korean style in the 21st century. Now, I just couldn't imagine my girlfriend sending me posts about K-pop over and over again. So it would be quite annoying, and it wouldn't be one of those things where I'd be like, oh, I understand. Keep sending it to me. We all have our limits, right? Even if you are stoic. At first, I could understand. See, this is what you do, man. You've done this 3 times. This is why it's good to write this. You understand even though you don't agree. My only question is, I like the stoicism. I like the fact that you're understanding. But make sure you're speaking up when you don't want to deal with something you don't want to deal with. Right? You don't want to shovel shit if you don't want to shovel shit. At first, I could understand because I knew she was at home doing nothing all day while she was looking for more work, so it didn't bother me much. Understand that she likes K-pop. I mean, if this is one of those things where you're like, I can't stand K-pop, and she's obsessed with it, that's going to be a problem down the road, right? But after a certain point, I asked her if she could lay off sending me content related to them because it was starting to get annoying. We'd previously had a conversation where we agreed that we'd be very open and the other person was doing something we found annoying, so I didn't think anything of it. But she went dead silent for a while and then blew up at me saying she needed rest because she was crying and wanted to meet up to talk tomorrow. If she blew up over the fact that you said you don't like K-pop and to stop sending her texts, and you said it nicely, red flag times 10. I mean, you just tell your girlfriend and say, hey, you know what? If you like K-pop, it's your business, hon, but stop sending me stuff. I'm not interested. In fact, I don't even like it. It's beyond annoying, right? I sent her one last text that night apologizing. This is where you went past being understanding and you apologized for something I don't think you really think you did wrong. If I had hurt her feelings and recognized that I probably overreacted to which we both said our usual good nights and I love yous. You didn't overreact. This is why it's really good you wrote this out and got my opinion. You didn't overreact. You don't like K-pop. If you don't like K-pop, you don't want someone sending you endless messages about K-pop. What's the alternative? Let me fake liking K-pop? Come on, man. No way, Jose. I still knew what I was walking into the next day, though, because she wasn't acting like herself. We met up the next day, and she asked for a break because she no longer felt pursued. So now we've turned it into me. I'm no longer feeling pursued, so I'm done. How about you pursue me? Felt like our relationship had stopped growing. That's a cliche statement. Like I didn't have a lot of motivation. And so when you read this, you got to ask yourself, do I think that's true? Not, oh, this is how she feels. Oh, I need to change. No. Do I feel like I've lost motivation? Do I feel like I made an effort to, I didn't make an effort to stop growing? You got to ask yourself this. You don't just take accusations as truth. And didn't like that I wasn't making an effort to get to know her family any better. Okay, so she just threw everything out there that's been bothering her. A lot of these things are very general. I prefer if someone breaks up with you, it should be specific. Your breath stinks. Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't brush my teeth at night. Okay. You know, something like that you can take. And I've had clients like, yeah, and then they said my breath stank. I'm like, well, that's an issue, right? That's something you can actually work on immediately. The idea that we weren't growing we stopped growing. What does that mean? Like, what do you mean we didn't stop? We stopped growing. She no longer felt pursued. Do you feel like that's, I mean, how are you going to pursue someone during the pandemic? I don't know. An effort to know her family any better. That's specific. He writes, we already know each other very well, but we had some differences surrounding the BLM protest. Her and I are on the same side of the issue, and her family wasn't. But I didn't feel comfortable around them for a little while because I'm black, they're not, and I felt as if they were being dismissive of my point of view. Well, that's a very good reason to not be around them, and I'm okay with that. Here's the thing. The longer you're together, you're going to have to confront that and hang out with that family and either accept that or not accept it. You're probably not going to be able to sway their beliefs, and you just have to ask yourself, is that something that you can deal with? Because if she's close to her family, this is what happens with parents and family. They're not going away. Someone's not going to go, you know what, I love you so much, let's just never see my mom and dad again. Right? I'm sure it happens sometimes if the circumstances are bad enough, but most of the time it doesn't. So that issue, it's just not going away. Now, if you feel strongly enough that it crosses up your values and it takes a big sacrifice on your end to swallow your pride and be around someone that upsets you with their points of view of, say, BLM, well, then that's something you got to really think about long term because it's not going away, right? You're not going to. The thing is, if her parents are like 50 and up, which I'm just going to make an assumption, if she's 28, they're maybe in their 50s, late 40s, late 50s. You're not going to be able to give them your point of view and sway them differently, most likely. You're either going to have to deal with it or listen to it. And if you're talking about marriage, that's really coming up on deck. I tried to convince her right there, bam. This is why you write your story out, and it's a good thing. I tried to convince her. Good relationships don't involve a lot of trying. Convincing someone that's 28 years old is not easy because they go, I'm an adult. I know what I'm doing. You're not above me.
Yeah.
I tried to convince her that whatever was going on, we could work through it in person. But she already had her mind made up after chatting about it for a couple hours. I left her place. We agreed to check in on each other from time to time, but to keep our distance over the course of the next 2 months and readdress how we felt come January. Well, that sounds very neat and tidy for a breakup. In that time, I ended up moving into my own place. Good for you. LA, Orange County, single, your own place. Bingo. As the great Clippers announcer used to say, bingo. We still chatted sparsely in that time, and looking back at it now, I realized that I panicked and began to over-pursue her by sending presents and contacting her way too much. Well, give yourself a break, because what did she tell you? You stopped pursuing me. So your subconscious probably said, I can pursue you. I can do that. Looking back, was it a bad move? Hell yeah. It lacked dignity and pride. Best move you've mentioned here? You got your own place. We talk on the phone every now and then, but one night while we were having a conversation a few weeks into the break, she just pulled the trigger and told me that she wasn't in love with me anymore and wanted to be single for a while, and that while she didn't want to close the door on us, even getting back together, that we needed to come to the realization that we may not end up together like we thought we would. Wow, sounds like she's writing the whole end of the story. Me. Now, if you're thinking like, I can't believe it, this is why when someone breaks up with you and you stay friends, you open the door to get stabbed in the heart repeatedly again and again and again, because eventually you somehow thought, oh, if we stay friends, maybe I can work my way back into this. And then they tell you, I just want to let you know in case you got the wrong idea. I don't love you anymore.
Oh, fool.
Ooh. And you're going, I can't believe it. You set that up. Someone breaks up with you, write this down. The best thing you can do, accept it. Don't be bitter. Don't say anything angry. That's why a while back I read this guy's acceptance email. It was beautiful. And accept it in a way where you say, okay, you said I didn't pursue you enough. I didn't make enough of an effort with my family. You know what? If you feel that way, I understand. And move the fuck on. It's going to hurt. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'll tell you what, it's attractive. Wow. He's never going to call me. He just accepted it like that. I was expecting a romantic comedy where Adam Sandler walks in the door and says some corny joke and, gets me some flowers and candy, and then I turn him down. This is the problem, right? You didn't do anything wrong from what I can see here. Reading this too, it's not as good a match as you think it is. I think that the fact that you had this long, ongoing dance from 2010 all the way up to now, you figure it's almost like a destiny, and you've been pursuing or wanting this individual for a long time, and then you finally got him. But you know where you had me? When you said, she's very emotional, I'm stoic and understanding. And you think that's a good fit. Actually, do you want to be with a woman that's very emotional, not just emotional, that likes K-pop, likes to send you K-pop on your text, and all of a sudden, in the wake of all that's gone down, throws on your lap, I don't love you anymore. We need to come to this realization. I begged a little over the phone prior to having done any research on the best plan of action. It was a hard pill to swallow since just a month ago we were discussing wedding rings. Now here's the thing. Now you're thinking, oh, we were discussing wedding rings. How could this happen? What marriage and wedding rings means to you obviously isn't as important to her. Now, be thankful. Drop down on your knees and thank whoever you look up to in the world and go, thank you for not marrying this woman. Al's just nodding his head, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Or you would have K-pop posters in your bedroom right now. It. I took a step back and didn't text her for a few days while I tried to figure out what I wanted to do regarding the situation, and decided that I wanted to get her back. See, this is counterintuitive. I wanted to get her back. Unattractive, needy. She slammed the door in your face more than once. She looked out the window and said, "Are you still there? I think I told you I'm not opening the door." And you're going, "I want to get back in there." No. You walk away from the closed door. If you got to cry, if you got to journal it out at home, if you got to hit up a breakup coach like myself and have a heart-to-heart for an hour or 2 hours, do it. But don't show her. Don't knock at the door. Don't be the annoying salesman that keeps asking someone to buy something they don't want to buy, because guess what? That person will never go back to that salesperson. I eventually sent her a text saying that I understood her. This is the fourth time you've understood her, but you don't like it. So this would be the theme and playbook of the relationship. She does something you don't like, you understand, you swallow it, you take it, and then you somehow try to deal with it. But if you had too much, like the K-pop situation, and you speak up, she'll throw a hissy fit, cry, and then you'll go, "I'm sorry. Maybe I said something wrong to you. You know, I wasn't that annoyed with all the K-pop texts." I eventually sent her a text saying that I understood her need for space and that she could reach out to me if it was an emergency. Again, you're giving her, "Hey, look, you know, you broke up with me, but anytime you want to come back, anything you need in an emergency, I'll be there for you." Well, that's very, very kind and accommodating of you. It's not attractive. It's not attractive. You know what's attractive? Scarcity, not being available, wondering, "Oh, wait, is he never going to talk to me again? Oh, wait, does he have the balls, dignity, and pride to meet someone else? Oh, my goodness." We ended up talking again that night and almost every day for a few weeks. Okay, so here's the thing. This is going to be a chapter in my book, Playbooks. This is why you write out the story the way you did. And I want to compliment you on how much you shared here and how detailed it was, because it helps me help you. There's a playbook here. Things don't work out, then you become friends again. Things don't work out, then you become friends again. Things don't work out, and then you become friends again. She broke up with you because it was too soon after after a relationship. She broke up with you because you didn't pursue her enough. She stopped talking to you as a friend because she just has easy things to find to break up with you, and then you become her friend again. We ended up talking again that night and almost every day for a few weeks. She said that she's always want me in her life in some aspect and would like if we could still be friends, and how much she missed and how lucky she was to have me help her through such a difficult time. I told her that we weren't friends even though we were being friendly, which she didn't take well. Of course she didn't. Of course she didn't. She doesn't want to be your friend. She doesn't want to be more than friends. You do. So you just went against what she told you. She's already told you that. You're talking on the phone with her, and it's kind of like you're speaking two different languages. But I felt the need to put my foot down on the friendship thing. Putting your foot down would be like, "I'm not talking to you anymore. Thank you, honey. Thanks." That would be putting your foot down. "I'm done. You slam the door on me 3 times. 3 strikes, you're out." Go on offense. Stop playing not to lose. Do you know what I mean by that? We exchanged Christmas and birthday presents. Of course he did. She even ended up coming over for dinner and a few dates. And we hooked up and had a handful of times, but she would always insist that they weren't dates despite the romance. Hand-holding, kissing, flirting. Again, what a date is to her is different than what a date is to you. You're hoping, you're wishing, you're all over her, and you know what? It's convenient for her, and she's going to take advantage where she can. And you're going to sit there and go, "Oh, I'm putting my foot down right now." No, you're not. And that we both just needed affection right now. So whenever someone speaks for who you are, be really cognizant. They're just projecting on what they think. We both just needed affection right now. Translation, she just needed affection right now. I went along with it for a little. Of course you did, because you're understanding and, you're laid back, but you're leaving yourself on the sidelines, my friend. I went along with it for a little, but I started hanging out with other people. Good for you. Casually dating another girl. Good for you. Began to distance myself because I didn't think it was healthy to be around her, regardless of how badly I wanted to get her back. Good for you. We made a few plans to hang out, and I was able to chat with her casually, which was nice. You got to read the book No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover. Quit making these covert contracts. If I'm friends with her and I'm nice and I'm understanding, maybe I can get her back. Even if you get her back, it'll be the same circumstances where she won't value you and you're disposable. But I hadn't seen her for a few weeks when I asked. I could have had a few, excuse me, I lost my space here. I was able to chat with her casually, which was nice, but I hadn't seen her for a few weeks when I asked if I could have a few of my things back. She agreed to meet up, but then she texted me referring to me as a friend again, and I reiterated what I said previously. You think you're being tough, but you're not. It's like you're walking into a booby trap and you're going, oh, this booby trap's here again? Well, I can't believe I walked on it again. She's told you, friends, friends, friends. You're not going to convince her otherwise. And you saying like, hey, don't call me a friend. It just pours more gasoline on the fire. She then canceled our plans saying that it would be too difficult to see me right now and she wanted more space. It's always in her frame. It's always in her frame. I told her to take her time and hold on to my things until we That's very kind of you. You should have said, hey, do me a favor and just leave my things on your porch. I'll pick them up at 6 p.m. If you're not around, that's fine. You somehow think, oh, if I do that, if I accommodate her, she'll be happy with me. I told her to take her time and hold on to my things. We could see each other in person, and I've been in no contact since about 2 weeks. Stay in no contact, stay in no contact, stay in no contact for you, not to get back with her. Since then, she's been viewing and liking all my social media posts and interacting with my friends through comments and whatnot, which I'm not putting a lot of weight into. I hope not. But ultimately, my goal would be to get this girl back because I do think we worked very well together. Well, she didn't think you worked very well together because she's broken up with you about 3 different times and calls you a friend still. Despite having communication issues, communication's, I don't know, about 30% of a relationship. What would you suggest I do to meet that end goal? If you're dealing with someone that is a bit selfish, if you're dealing with someone like this, you've tried being understanding, you've tried being nice, you've tried being apologetic. How about try being gone? How about you've always been there, you've always been available. Go all in. Block her on all social media. Go no contact. Date some other women because you got your own place now. You live in Southern California, which is a great place to be single. Embrace being single. Read a couple books on dating and relationships. The Rational Male by Rollo Tomasi, Models by Mark Manson, and No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover. Just read those 3. They're different perspectives. And take some time away and just go, you know what? I'm gonna take a fasting on this woman. I'm just gonna take a break for a month. I'm gonna block everything out of it and see what happens. By the way, this isn't what you asked me, but I don't think you're a good match. I think you're giving in again and again when you're saying you're being understanding. And if this relationship was going to come back around and work out, it's not going to be anytime soon. She's dug in on breaking up with you. She's dug in on breaking up with you. And this is the thing that people don't realize. Someone makes a declaration when they break up, right? They go, I'm breaking up with you because this, this, and this. I feel this, this, and this. And the other person goes, I don't think they feel that way. I don't think they're telling me the truth. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you think or feel. Usually what you think is what you want to think. Think means I don't know. That's what I think means. Think means I'm guessing. Hypothesis means educated guess. Usually I think is not even a hypothesis. And so when your feelings and emotions are involved, you think in ways that serve you. So far, none of the stuff you've tried as far as being understanding, nice, and playing the friendly but I'm not your friend game has never worked. So why don't you go with an opposite approach? No contact, block her on all social media, and let her feel what it's like to not have you in her life at all. and give yourself the opportunity to embrace being single and give yourself the space needed to heal from this one. And this thing wasn't destiny. I hope you don't think this was like your soulmate because you've known her since you were a little kid. I think the idea is that you've known each other so long and you probably had a crush on her off and on for a period of time and you guys had this dance back and forth has really bred this storyline into a situation where you're like, God, I've been chasing her for so long, finally got her, and then this happens. The reality is this wasn't just timing and circumstances. I would come back to this. Do you really want to deal with someone that's highly emotional? Highly emotional. You said very emotional. Is into K-pop at 28 years old. Sending you repeated text about it, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm understanding that. I mean, if you're not into it, right? It's like that's going to bother you for a long time, right? You're giving in a lot here. If I did a live coaching session with you, some of the things I would dive into are your past relationships. Prior to this one. I would ask about her prior relationships. We get a little deeper on that. And we'd even talk about maybe what happened with your parents when you were younger. Because you need to really understand why you're being so... I love someone that's stoic and reasonable. I'm with you. But I don't think you were being stoic in this relationship. You were showing your cards a lot of times. And this woman, like I said, I don't think she lines up with you. And sprinkle in the fact that the parents who she's very close to have different views than you do on issues that are very, very important to you. That's not going away. So I hope that helps you. If you want to talk about this further in a live coaching session, if you don't find the session useful or helpful, I'll give you your money back. But I highly recommend it if you're really going through it right now. So I spent a lot of time on that one, 47 minutes. But I do want to say thank you for writing a detailed story and sharing a lot. Okay. Azam, what's up, bud? It's been a while. I'm glad to see you're back on deck, man. I hope everything's well with you. Leandra, thinking is a thought. It doesn't make it real. If you, and I do this too, so this is one of those things, when you have a YouTube channel or a podcast or anything like that. What's up, Ryan? I'll say I think too. I say it. I'll go I think. If you watch some of these sports shows like Stephen A. Smith, who's really popular and is very charismatic, he says I think all the time. All the sports broadcasters and all that. I think means I don't know. It's really powerful when someone says, I know for a fact. I know I can change that. And by the way, if you've ever looked at some of these things about the law of attraction and dived into that, some people say, oh, it's bullshit or it's that. I always say there's truth to it. You got to study it. And I think that the term law of attraction wasn't always there in the book. The Secret kind of changed things for a lot of people. But one of the pieces to the law of attraction, if you've ever studied Neville Goddard, is it's not about wishing, hoping. It's about what you know already happened. Isn't that a different thing? So think about it this way. You just know already. There's some things you know about yourself. It doesn't mean you're arrogant or confident. If someone says, hey, someone just recently, they found me on Instagram and they sent me a few texts. And sometimes with Instagram people, and people that contact you through Instagram, hey man, can you help me? Hey, I just have a question. Me and my girlfriend broke up a week ago. What should I do? It's like, hey, can you send your story in? Oh, just forget it, man. It's like, are you that dense? Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? So this one guy goes, This one guy sends me the message. He's like, hey, man, do you help people with breakups only? I want help with long distance. I talked about this, I think, last show. But he asked me a couple more questions. I said, hey, look, if you want to do a live coaching session, if it's not helpful or useful, I'll refund your money. I said, I'm very good at what I do. I didn't say, I think I can help you. I said, I'm very good at what I do. And he liked the comment. And the kid's a not professional, but a college wrestler. And I talked to him afterwards, and we got to the end of the session, and he was like, man, this was good. This is what I needed. I'm really glad I called you. I said, I told you I'm good at what I do. I'm very good at what I do. And he said, and I said, I think you can understand that as not being arrogance or cocky. That's actually, when you know you're something, you are that. Does that make sense? You don't want, is that ironic that people that are really good at sports, other people go, oh God, this person just thinks they're so great. They know they're great at the sport, right? Knowing something is much different, much different. Let me get into the live stream a little bit and see where we're at with things. We got a healthy little group today. 16 on deck, 7 likes. So Nick Lendell. LA has expensive rent and low life quality, plus those poor homeless people in the city. Wow. I haven't been to LA in a long time, so I can't speak on it, but I've heard through the grapevine of YouTube and whatnot. Damian Castillo. That's a new name. G Money came in for a cameo? Jesse, I'm doing well. I don't know if you're still on deck. Judy Jack, always a pleasure. Southern Cal's finest. Woke up on Valentine's Day to a friend's request from my boyfriend that I met when I was 19. She says, so if people think they are forgotten, they probably aren't. Hope that helps. Hell, you know how many times people go, do you think this person will never remember me? No, not unless they got fucking amnesia. You know what amnesia is, Aleph?
It's like kind of horror, right? Amnesia.
And no, amnesia is when you forget everything.
Oh.
You get in a bad accident or something, and you just can't remember nothing.
Yep.
And it's like sometimes when you get in a breakup, you're like, oh, I wish I just had amnesia. I remember thinking that because your mind's just going again and again and again and again the same thing. You're like, I just wish I could erase thinking about this person, you know? Coach Mac, remember I told my story about my girlfriend was cheating on me with my best friend, and since high school, I want to talk more about it. Damien, we'll send your story into rightmac.com, and we'll get into it. If you want to talk in a live coaching session, let's do it. Been to a couple Jordan Peterson lectures where it brought that up, where he brought that up. About his wife being the one that, yeah. Here's what's so interesting and unique about people, Rob. So I don't know if everyone knows who Jordan Peterson is. Do you know who that is, Aleph?
Jordan
Peterson.
Peterson.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, see, he doesn't know who.
I mean, a lot of Peterson.
Kaiwa.
Yeah.
Which in Thai means who the hell. He's like, what? Jordan Peterson's pretty famous. He wrote a few books. He's a lecturer in Canada at a university. He's been on YouTube a lot. Very, very intelligent man. Very well versed in psychology. Considers himself a scientist. Very good debater. Like I said, he's versed in psychology. But what's interesting is his wife got ill, his lifelong partner, and he got hooked on pharmaceutical pills. Yeah. And this is a famous person that helps people out with their problems. So a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, you're helping, you know what I mean? Like pointing the finger at him. But it's just human. It's just human. What's really interesting, and Rob, you might find this interesting, I just started listening to more finance-based YouTube videos. I'm getting into that more and more with Bitcoin going crazy and stocks and all this other stuff. There's a lot of volatility right now, and seeing other people's videos. There's people out there. You guys will get a kick out of this. And there's people out there in the last year or 2 years have made a shitload of money, like in a year. Bitcoin alone, the stock market alone, and they're young. There's a lot of people in America that are like late 20s, like, oh, I own all these houses, I got these millions of dollars, and I hear them talk, and then the girlfriend thing comes up or the wife thing comes up, and they're lost. Some guy on the Tim Ferriss podcast, Tim Ferriss wrote the 4-Hour Work Week, which Tim Ferriss I highly respect. It's one of my favorite podcasts. He interviews high-quality guests. I would check it out. And Tim Ferriss has on this guy, Kevin Rose. He's a venture capitalist. He's ultra rich. He owns, I don't know how much money he owns, but they were just talking about all the money they have invested, and they made this money, and he's, ordering the Tesla truck and all this other shit. It was an interesting podcast. And then he's like, oh, if I'm going to be transparent though, me and my wife had some issues and we had to go to a counselor, man. And I'm like, it's kind of funny because you think money cures most all things, but some people can have money and be completely unhealthy. I'll never forget that. There was it wasn't my direct relative, it was my aunt's husband, so my uncle, but my non-blood uncle. His father was extremely rich when I was a kid. He owned a lot of land and property around the Bay Area. This is before the Bay Area was Silicon Valley. I didn't know him well. He died. I think he died in his early 60s. I'm pretty sure it was his early 60s, late 50s. And they said the guy had a cheeseburger and fries, never exercised. And you just think, life's got more to it. You got, like, in order for you to really enjoy your money, you don't need to be, so you want to be, maybe you're excellent at making money, but you got to have a little bit of education or wisdom about health, like about eating proper food and why you eat proper food, or why you exercise, or how to deal with a relationship. And so some of these people that are rich, and you think to yourself, why are they so unhappy? Because they're only good at one thing in life. There's other things in life that'll trip your ass up, man. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, seriously, because I'm listening to it. I'm going to be dead honest. I'm like, damn, that would be nice to be a freaking millionaire that young. Mm-hmm. Like they're talking about these, and they're talking about this money and the stuff they're buying. Well, I got a Ferrari F48, man. It's just a write-off. And you're like, wow. That doesn't impress me that much because I've always thought expensive cars are kind of a waste of money. You know that too. Whenever I see someone with like a really expensive car, I'm like, God, that's a waste of money.
Well, great thing come with great responsible.
Whatever. With the Spider-Man thing. Yeah, it's just like,
Well, that's true, right? When you have a higher car.
It's just a value thing. It's nothing, and I feel bad because sometimes I'll make a comment. I'm like, this person went and bought a fucking $150,000 Mercedes. This is ridiculous. Yeah. And I don't know, because I like nice cars, but I just get one used.
Yeah, but usually he had to pay a lot, like expensive, to take care of his car, right?
Oh, and then you got to worry about like if you get it dented or anything like that. And to me. And then, again, this is just a personal preference. If you're going to buy something like that, get a vintage, badass 1960s, 1970s car that at least appreciates in value. So, all right, I'm going out of bounds here for a little bit. This is one of those situations where you did everything correct, but I wouldn't have waited 7 years for someone. Jesus, okay. Stoicism, a good way to go in pandemic, Sabina says. Yep. Living with anyone, let alone your partner, has its challenges. Hence, I live alone and love it. We all need space. Everything takes an adjustment, I think that people underrate the fact that when you break up, it's like losing a job. It's like someone changing your diet on you. It's like moving to a new county. In a lot of ways. It's not exactly alike, don't get me wrong, your heart's not involved, but part of the problem with breaking up, beyond just missing the intimacy, the affection, and feeling like someone, especially if you feel like someone did you wrong, or the toughest part is when you didn't see it coming. Those are the toughest ones. People that break up and they had no clue that the other person was going to break up with them. I say you're going through a green light and someone ran a red light and smashed your car. You didn't see it coming. And those people need to do live coaching sessions. They really need to unpack it because they just don't get it. They don't understand. They had no idea. Those are tough. Those are really tough. It made me responsible. My mom made me pay rent, and I respect that. Coach McMcGuire, remember when I was telling you about my girlfriend cheating on me when I was best friend? High school, I told you she was pregnant by me at one point. Damien, was your name Damien when you sent me the story? Sometimes people send me different names. Rob likes the K-pop thing, so I remember Damien's story. I've been on here for myself, and now I'm here for a friend. He said his girl left him because she wasn't happy with him in the relationship and associated negativity with him. 7-year couple. So what was the negativity based on? Does he believe it's true? And sometimes in a 7-year relationship, it's been dead for a year or two. Did he see it coming, Nick? Those Korean kids on the block are very, very white. I told him he is not responsible for the happiness. She will hopefully realize that, and he can only do so much. Nick, tell him to, if he was with her for 7 years, tell him to do a live coaching session with me because he needs to unpack what went down. That's a lot. 7 years is a long time, man. I don't know what they sing about. It's one of those. A lot of their lyrics are repetitive. Oh, we got Clutch in here. Apologizing was uncalled for. The relationship is from the beginning of red flags. He's taking blame for something he didn't do. He was manipulated. Don't get guilt tripped. Sorry, this is Frank, but do you agree with happiness should not come down to the other partner? Like, yes, they can make you happy, but to break up over happiness and well, okay, so Nick, if you're still on deck, I'm sorry I got to this pretty late. Happiness is defined by the individual, just like love is. This is what's really interesting in my work that I've found. Oh, love means this, yeah, to you. Oh, happiness means this, yeah, to you. I mean, Aleph that sits across from me, you know what one of his greatest joys in life is? At 23 or 24?
No, I'm 23.
23. I'm sick of it all. You know what one of his greatest joys in his life is? His cat.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of his he follows, like, he just told me, next Tuesday it's National Cat Day in Japan.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? Right? And he's like genuinely excited about Cat Day in Japan. Mm-hmm. Now someone might go, that's ridiculous. That's his happiness. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
You know what? I can care less about most cats. I didn't grow up with one. I mean, I like pets and stuff. I appreciate them. I won't hurt a cat. I just went to my yoga class yesterday. The lady feeds about 10 stray cats. You'd be in heaven, Aleph. Mm-hmm. Beautiful, all around. I'm like, where'd these come from? She goes, oh, I just feed them, So the problem with that statement, Nick, is that she didn't get specific. That's what's going to eat up your friend. That's a vague general statement that's got a lot more meat and roots to the thing, and that's what's going to bug them. Oh, this is just about happiness? I would dig a little deeper for him to realize you're right. She was probably unhappy with herself. She could be projecting some things, but there could be some things about him that made her unhappy. But like I said, happiness is also one of those things that's fleeting, just like attraction. Someone is not going to be happy the same every day in their life. That's what's really interesting that's missed about happiness. I can wake up tomorrow morning, right? And in the middle of the night, someone lit off a bunch of firecrackers because it was fucking Chinese New Year, right? Mm-hmm. Like 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
And they woke me up and I had a bad sleep. And I wake up the next day in a little bit of a mood, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, am I so unhappy now? So your happiness, it varies. And a lot of times, breakups, this is what's interesting, breakups get produced when someone's in an unhappy part of their life, where maybe something happened in their family, maybe they don't like their job. There's all kinds of things that can create unhappiness, and then someone can blame the individual that they're with. But that would have to be unpacked in a live coaching session. 7 years, you got to unpack that, man. He is taking responsibility for her feelings and manipulation. Yeah, he is a conditional feminist. Don't chuck away your personality for a girl in our family. What you always want to come back to when someone accuses you of something, do you think it's true? And it might be, right? Or if someone accuses you of something, has your friends, family, and colleagues told you that before too? Because then it probably is true. There's more than one person assessing that. If you don't like the mom, that's a big red flag. Guess who she's going to be like in 30 years? I think that's true in a lot of cases, the truth of love. I think that's clutch as you go by. I think that's true in a lot of cases, yeah. And it might not show up till they get older. They might eventually fall into that during the circumstances. Some people that live away from their parents for long periods of time are not as susceptible to that. If they're highly independent, live in another country, or don't see their parents regularly and had a lot of life experiences. But overall, I'd say that's about an 80-20% chance. An 80% chance, you're right. They're going to follow a lot of the characteristics. Or when things come up that their parents dealt with, they're going to deal with them the way their parents dealt with them. Nick, that's a mistake to believe someone else can make us happy. Being with someone that you're not happy with, or you're in the relationship and it's not working for you, can contribute to unhappiness, though. But she needs to be more specific. And like I said, if he unpacked the breakup with me, we could probably figure out. A lot of times when I get into the questions that I ask, we'll get into deeper understanding of, oh, she did just change her job and hated her job about 6 months ago. Well, that'll contribute. That'll bleed over to the relationship. So, yeah, I agree. He said the first 6 years he didn't make her happy, and last year they began to have issues after losing his job. I just read it. After losing his job and then COVID. So once issues began, she lost that happiness. So circumstances changed, her feelings changed, and she attributed the unhappiness to him. Is it fair? Doesn't sound like it's fair, but no, life's not fair. The reason she is giving you a BS is the way she's feeling need to be changed. Nick, those are learned manipulative tactics. She has that from childhood. Me, personal disorder. What should I tell my friend? I have ran out of advice, honestly. Tell him to book a live coaching session with myself, and I'll give him his money back if he's not happy with it. Or you can go on halves with him. I've actually had some people gift live coachings to people. Too right is I try logic with my girlfriends, and it really rarely works. Nick, don't try to solve friend issue. Yeah, sometimes you get killed when you're the messenger, bud. You do your best and then leave it alone, but that's why it's better if you tell a lot of times friends won't take it, but talk to a coach or a therapist. They need to talk to an outside person because it's a conflict of interest when you're friends. I would say certain friends that you trust and admire and have had similar situations and you like their body of work in relationships. Notice I didn't say money. Notice I didn't say family. Just in relationships. Well, then seek those people out. But if you don't, you know what I mean? If someone doesn't want your advice sometimes, then you got to just, let them be. All right, the most recent thing I told him that was hopefully she will realize that she was happy and hard times can suck, but also he was a good man and take a space to focus on him. The thing is, if you were good in the relationship and you were a good boyfriend, you were a good girlfriend, and you break up and you go all in on no contact, they're going to have to sit on that. If you left the relationship where you said some really mean things, you took some shots at them, they lost their job because of you, that's what they're going to sit on. So if you let your body of work in the relationship do its work with the silence. She's going to let you taste the new guy. Ooh, that's bad, Pioneer Caddy. She's going to let you taste the new guy. Ooh, leave your friend. No amount of talking will do anything. Tell him to do what he thinks is right for him. The best thing you can do at 7 years is go, all right, you're unhappy, I accept that. Jenny Jen makes me think of Jennifer Lopez. God, I used to like her when I was young. Jennifer Lopez has got to be like in her 50s now. You know who that is? J-Lo.
I know J-Lo.
Did you know she had an insurance policy on her ass? Like if she damaged her ass in some way?
Oh, I know about that.
You should have seen Alan's face right now.
I
didn't know about that.
I just know that she did come to Thailand.
J-Lo did, huh?
Yeah, cause there is a picture with his boyfriend, whose name is
Ben Affleck before? Was it Ben Affleck? She had a few boyfriends.
No, not Ben Affleck. The guy, Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre wasn't her. Oh, Puffy was her boyfriend.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, she got around. Good for her.
Because there is a picture that she get through in Bang Chao.
Oh, in Phuket.
Yes.
Jay-Z was here.
Oh, Jay-Z.
You're thinking of Jay-Z.
Yeah, sorry.
I remember that. I saw that picture, yeah, with Beyonce.
I just got confused.
They were here. I saw them here, but yeah, that was kind of funny seeing them on a motorbike, huh?
They
were on a motorbike.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are they still together with Jay-Z?
I mean, I don't follow that stuff really. I think so. I think they got kids and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll have them on the show to talk relationships next time they're in Thailand.
Okay.
He might have been okay. I'm going to try to get to the end here because I got to wrap this up. If she did the breakup 3 times, I think there would be a 4th time. Block her and don't look back. Distract yourself. Soon you will notice you have went days without even thinking of her. Thinking is another way of saying I've changed my mind. Thinking might be that way, but I think when someone goes, I think, and people do this all the time, I think she's been sleeping around. That means I don't know. The problem, he is not letting his brass balls do the talking. How's it going, Mac Ryan? It's great. Oh, we've come to the end here. I've made it all the way through. Oh, no, I missed it. Okay. We got 17 on deck today. It feels a lot better than having 1 for 28 minutes yesterday. I'm doing the live stream like, wow, I haven't been on deck for a while. This is really bad. Jeez.
Technical difficult.
Oh, God. In my head, I'm like, what? I really fell off here, huh? Trying to get to the end here. Who's Sejuana Johnson verse both loved each other for 5 years, but after that his parents were strict and I don't know what to do. If the parents are strict, the parents are always going to be a problem. In many states and many countries, accuse, agree, amplify, never. Now it has been 1 month that I'm doing no contact. Good for you, Sejuana. Coach McAparty, I let myself show jealousy and she made fun of it. I mean, what do you want from that, Damien? What do you want from that? I mean, what? Damien, I'm going to be honest. I don't remember your story. You asked me if I remember it, but you're saying she cheated with your high school friend. It's curtains. It's done. I'm not saying that's easy. I'm not saying that. Like, That would be like if someone broke their leg and I'm like, hey man, just happened. You're gonna have to deal with it. But actually, you're gonna have to. So now you got to go through the motions. I would not give that individual the courtesy of my attention in any sort of public light ever. Some guys are tuning after any woman. Just be in a relationship, no matter how abusive. Glad I'm not that guy. Would you say happiness is subjective? Yes. What makes me happy and what makes someone else happy are going to be two different things. Correct me if I'm wrong. I love going on hikes. I went on a hike a couple days. I went on 3 hikes. Went on 2 solo missions, and I went on one with a couple other guys a couple days ago. And one of the guys is in his mid 50s. The other dude was 33. I'm 40 now. Just turned 40 a couple weeks ago. And everyone was in fairly good shape. You know, like the hike wasn't a problem. But the one dude that was older was just beating with sweat. You know, it's Thailand, it's hot. And I didn't even, I barely caught a sweat. I'm proud to say, like, I was fine. I wasn't even fucking winded. I wasn't even winded because I do hiking a lot, right? It brings me a lot of happiness. This guy was like, oh, man. Like, and I was like, just chilling. Now, I did yoga earlier this week, beating with sweat. Can't do half the fucking, leg over my shoulder, and someone else can do the same thing. And my point is, just like physical things, happiness is the same way. There's some things that are not going to make you happy that'll make someone else happy. There's just some people get really happy over food. How much there's some people that really value really good food. Like it's real, make a list of the things that really make you happy. For me, it would probably go with exercise, hanging out with good friends. I mean, be specific. But all those things you can't do full time. Unfortunately for people, they like to bask in sadness and tell everyone about it. But still, verse both love each other, trust each other, and so don't know what to do. He also said that he was happy. So, Joanna, maybe you want to send your story into writemac.com because I'm wrapping up here. Medi Samuel. Hey, Mac, what do you do when you broke up because of the STH you said? I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean. What's that mean, Medi? STH? Trust me, not saying all cases, but in most, they are doing very well. So I know it's expensive. You don't have to have a point. 2 is easier to manage, thanks God. All aside, 90% are married to 1. Happy birthday, young Mac. All that aside. All right, folks, it's been good. It's been great. It's been grand. Aleph just gave me the sign that he's got to take a dump. So
No.
I'm just
Fishing.
It's been a really good stream today. We went an hour and 18 minutes. That was clean. That was like nothing, right? Didn't even break a sweat. Folks, I'll be back on deck most likely tomorrow. Medi, Samuel, you want to send in your story to writemac.com, go for it. If you want to join the Discord, it'll be in the show notes, the link, or at the top of this. And if you want to send your story in, go to writemac.com. Otherwise, it's curtains.